Hello, everyone. We are back again. Can we believe it? That this is Dr. Bell for her 4th season of Choose to Win. I tell you, when we first started this journey, it was like just an idea. But now we are steaming strong to 4 seasons. Are you excited?
I am more than excited, but I have to always say, without a shadow of a doubt, I thank you for your belief in me and the way you've trained my son to do so many things. I just want to honor you on camera like I always do. We're so blessed to have you in our lives. Yes, 4 seasons. We were thinking about that and laughing about some of the things we've learned along the way. Man,
we have learned a lot of things along the way because, first of all, I didn't know what I was doing, but I took the little bit of knowledge that I had because, first of all, you had so much to say, and you were a believer in bringing out the best in people. That's where it started from, Choose to Win. First of all, let's just recap about Choose to Win. First of all, you had a book.
Right.
And then now it turned into a TV show.
Right.
Tell us how that's all started for you.
Well, I wrote the book not even thinking that it would bless as many people. It's still selling all over the place. Everywhere I go speak, it sells out. I'm so honored with that. Since then, I've written 3 other books, but Choose to Win is still the caterpillar of everything that I've done. And so we have Choose to Win. I wrote it because I was going through so much. You know, I had so many losses, and God just said that pain is going to happen. You just got to choose to win. So it's funny that you said it turned into it was a book that turned into a show, and I've had so many people approach me about turning it into a movie. I know, and I know. And so we're in the process of looking for screenwriters. So if y'all know anybody, hit me up on fnfministries.org or April Ross. You know how they chase you down. Tell who that Choose to Win lady. But my students, they read the book. The students, my students read it, and they said, Dr. Bell, you should do a movie. And so, you know, when people were saying it in the past, when they say this book could be a movie, but to hear the students say it, and then so many people are saying it afterward, we're actually looking into a screenwriter to make it into a movie. So we're excited about it.
Okay. Now, coming from remembering the first season, the first young man.
Oh, my God.
That you interviewed. Quay Boyd.
Yes.
Have you talked to him recently?
All the time. His mom, I just purchased something from her BK arrangements from Kim Davis. She always does things for me. I still try to support them. But yes, he's doing great things. He's an educator now. He's a coach. Going from crying for failing to now teaching kids. And he'll take that journey of what he'd learned with him. I'm so proud of Quay. I talk to him. I talk to his mother a lot, keep up with him, but he always keeps in touch with me to show me about the success strides he's making. And I'm super proud of him. Yeah, Quay was an awesome story. Still is an awesome story. It is.
Because he chose to win.
Yes, he did. And where I work at the Hope Academy, one of our English teachers have played that show for the students. Wow. They said that they needed to see this young man who didn't give up, who chose to win, and a teacher was so instrumental in his life. So, oh yeah, Quay is like my own son. I just follow him. He's such a fantastic, phenomenal story with so many stories we've shared together.
Now going into our 4th season. Yes. Now, what is going into this season that when you're thinking about the people who you decide to interview for this season?
I'm very, very strategic in that. I went to God when I was running, of course, and I said, you know, what do you want from me, God? You know, and he said, I want you to interview people who are winning through me. And so, and giving me credit for the wins. And so we have a great lineup coming. I won't spill that because we're going to have something that comes out that'll show about that, who they are. But everybody that we're talking to, we have church on the set. Oh my goodness. It's just like the Holy Spirit just comes in, and it becomes something of, in this season, we have to be honest, we're struggling. And so everybody that God has put in my path are people who are choosing to win but giving God the credit for it. Not that we won't interview people that are different beliefs than me, because they giving somebody the credit. They know it's bigger than them. So I don't want to limit to people saying they have to follow my faith before I interview them. It's just people who are saying, I know this, I'm not doing this alone. But the truth is, the ones I've interviewed so far, they are saying, you know, I got to give God all the glory.
And I know that you can tell that you pray about who you should who God places in your path to be able to interview. Last season, you were able to do Kawana Tucker.
Oh my God, don't make me cry, April. Don't make me cry.
I have to go because you made me think about when you just said that I pray in my time and let God send me those people. And for those of you who have watched her show or knew to choose to win, Kawana Tucker was a very just
instrumental pillar in the community.
Yes, no other way to say it. She was in your last season, and then a few weeks ago she passed away. But that interview
was phenomenal.
She told her story.
Oh my God. It was just so like she was already preparing her own eulogy. She knew she had to take control of whatever time she had here on earth. I just out the blue, God said, I always call her McFarland. No disrespect to her wonderful husband, Pastor Terry Tucker, but when she worked with me, and I'm very specific in that we worked together, even though I was the leader, she taught me so many things. And so one thing she said to me was when she started her journey of weight loss, is she said, Doc, I couldn't understand why you used to always come in here so chipper and how you used to get up every morning and do that. She said, now that I'm in it, I understand. And she said, I'm not gonna quit. And so, so awesome in her own right. I didn't watch that show when we aired it. I put it up, but I couldn't watch it after, but I'm gonna go back because I remember everything she said to me. She was such a good friend to me, and I couldn't even go to her memorial because 2 days before we caught COVID.
Right.
So,
right.
Which is, and so, but I didn't need it. I didn't need to go. I needed to grieve my own way with her. She was just so good to me. Always good to
a lot of people.
Yes, and so you just have to do things your own way. I watched it, and I reached out to her husband. He knows. And when I told him, I said, I love your wife. And he said, well, she loved you too, Doc. So yeah, Kawana, that was amazing.
That was an amazing show. And for some of your people that we've interviewed, I've watched their journey. I've watched them thrive. And that's what we want to go into the 4th season doing as well. Just continuing that. But not only that, F&F Ministries, on the downtime of when she's not shooting, you recently hosted an event.
Yes.
And so you're doing those things, and hopefully those things continue. But tell us about the event that you hosted.
Oh, my goodness. I often tell people, and I share this candidly, I was 17 when I had my daughter, Jessica. And so in this sometimes growing together, your children don't understand why you make some of the decisions you make. And that's for some people out there. Your kids may not understand. And I was very candid with my daughter, and I said, everything that you're saying that I didn't have, whatever I had, you gave to me because I was empty. And I was talking to her one day. I said, do you realize my cup was empty? And however I poured into you, you taught me to pour. And God said right there, he said, you're going to do a brunch to mothers and daughters and let them know you taught me to pour from an empty cup. And so it was fun. I still have people inboxing me about that brunch. Didn't want to do the brunch. Was just like, God, especially when I was going to host it with a catered lunch. And shout out to Lovey's Kitchen and Kim Brooks. So awesome to work with. When God told me that I was going to set it in a standard and feed the mothers and daughters, but be free. I was like, wait a minute, Lord. And so I said, okay, I hear you, God, because I've never had an event that I've charged for. Not that I see anything wrong with that, so I don't want anybody saying that if you charge for events there's something wrong. No, that's just been F&F Ministries been able to survive by people donating or people giving us things. So the mothers came and they poured their hearts out to their daughter. You were one of my speakers, and I knew right away, I knew your schedule would be empty because you're always so packed, but God gave me the date. And I said, April will be available because she and my friend Maddie got to be there.
Yes.
And you all were great. Like the connection with the mothers and the daughters on panel as well as in the audience is something like I've never seen before.
It was a move.
It was.
On that day. To hear mothers talk, which I realized it was so needed.
Yes.
You were able in that room to share. Some daughters shared
Yes.
the ugly truth.
Yes.
About
and
how they
okay
really feel. And we were okay with it, but it was something that as a mother you need to hear.
Well, and I decided no men and no cameras. Like we took photos, which was what we needed to sound that day, but no video. I'm not saying that if we do one in the future, God, but right then I just didn't think that was appropriate. I think that the people, I didn't want any men there because girls, as we heard, and mothers shared some things that men just don't need to hear. They don't understand that.
Right.
Some men, not that they're not great, but they didn't understand that movement in that moment. So no video, and people kept saying, you got to be, no, if you should have been there. But honestly, we had about 25, 30 people on the 200 registration list that could not get in. And so we sold out, I think, in 3 days.
Yes.
And people were still on the list, hoping to get on the list, but because we wanted it to be intimate and we wanted it to be like it was, we did the cap at 200, and we got 200 people. We actually had 200 plus. I just found some tables and chairs at True to Liberty because one of the groups that came, Sherry Cook's girls came from YDC, and we had to give them a whole table. I was not going to say no to them. So we had 200 plus, and it was phenomenal. F&F Ministries is Felix and Frankie, and it was birthed by some struggles I was going through, and we are a ministry of deliverance. And what we do is host all events that help deliver people. Everything we've ever done, from the Having a Heart to Heal conference that people want me to bring back, to the Mother's Brunch, to anywhere I've spoke, it's about deliverance. And that's what our ministry is, and my husband supports me in every bit of it.
And so for some people may say, we see you doing the interviews, we see you talking to other people, but really, who is Frankie Bell? We know she's Dr. Frankie Bell. She's a mother, she's a wife, she's an author, she's a teacher, but who is Frankie Bell?
Frankie Bell is a survivor on so many levels. I just always somebody who wants to give back to the community. Someone who refuses to quit. Someone who is very honest and transparent about struggles in life. Someone who loves very hard, and sometimes that gets me in trouble. But about 15 years ago, maybe, I heard T.D. Jakes say, don't let who they are change who you are, because when you love hard, you get hurt hard. And so I love hard. I'm a forgiver. I believe forgiveness is a powerful tool. That's something else I used to say all the time. I'm someone who will fight for what I know God has placed in me. Someone who's going to die with everything is going to be on the table. When I go to my grave, my headstone won't have anything left. I want to be someone that God says, you know what, everything I gave you, you left it on the table. And so that's who Frankie is. I'm working every day trying to find a way to make people better. I'm getting ready to do a REACH program for educators. So if you are an educator, you don't have to be new, but it's really for educators and leaders. And the theme of the program I'm writing is called You Must Reach Me to Teach Me. And it is a program where we got a lot of struggling teachers now. And so REACH stands for Relate, Rely, Empathy, Authentic, Consistent, and Hopeful. I'm doing the research, and I've already written the workbook for it that I want to give to educators to let them know this is not all the missing components, but you got to be relatable. Students got to be able to rely on you. You have to be authentic. They don't want phony people. You have to be consistent, and you have to be hopeful. You got to offer kids hope. And so in that's who Frankie is, someone who seeks God to say, what else do you need me to do for your kingdom? I'm kingdom minded, love the Lord, love my husband. Just as I have 2 sweet grandbabies, Dax and Ivory, who I love dearly, and someone who still misses my sister every day. This 19th of August was 28 years, and it's not a day I go by that I wonder if she was proud.
Wow, that you wondered if she was proud. Let's we're going to come back to that, but what we're going to touch on is that, because you've mentioned him twice, and there's the deacon. Well, we say the deacon for people who don't know. He's Deacon Felix Bell.
Yeah,
and he's your right hand, your front hand, your back hand, your everything, right? But not only that, though, for people who may not know, he hasn't been on the show yet. That's who she needs to interview.
He's coming.
But he's coming. But you all do a Facebook Live.
We do.
And tell us about that. And first of all, how did it all start? And what's the purpose behind it?
Focusing on the family, from struggles, from not getting it right, from being honest and transparent. I was meeting a lot of parents, and I'm very honest about this. And I often tell people on my show, this is my opinion, it may not be yours, this is mine, that are struggling to let their children know that whatever, now we have some terrible parents. Let me just put that disclaimer out there. But for the most part, we do the best we can. And so what I was hearing, because, you know, sometimes social media can make you believe that, you know, you weren't as good as this mom, or your struggle was different. And so everywhere I went, mothers were wanting to talk to me or pour out their hearts to me, and fathers wanted to pour out their hearts to us about, you know, their kids are thinking that they don't love them enough, that how can I do this? And on the outside, our family may look like we got it going on and Devin works for me, but we've had our struggles. And so the topic of the shows were like, let grown folks be grown. The hardest thing for parenting an adult child is knowing your role. And being hurt by some of the things that they do as they get an adult is okay. But letting people know you're not alone. You know, we all are going through things where our children don't think that their life was good enough, and it was a whole lot better than a lot of ours. But you know, you hear them tell it, they just, Lord bless them. So Felix and I decided to share some things about focusing on that family. He was very transparent about some early stuff that happened in our marriage that could have cost him his family. And he talked about, you know, what you can do to stop, you know, different women. I'm just going to put it out there. He did, from being in your ear. He said you have to have a boundary. You have to set a standard. And he said all the times he did not. And so people just need to hear there's no such thing as a perfect marriage or a perfect family. But we got to focus on it. We got to put back what the old people used to do. We got to focus on what's important. I think doing so many things and being so busy, we got away from that. But Felix has his own little following, honey. They love to see the D come on now. They love the D. I had to sit back and say, well, you had your time, D. And he's enjoying it. He's not a talkative person, but he's growing into his own. We talked about that. I said, we got to get you just familiar with being on camera. And he's excited. If I want him to do it, just because I asked him, he'll do it.
Well, and another thing, as you mentioned that you're an educator and you talk about focus on families. One thing that people, like I said, she is an educator, but you see firsthand what's going on in our school system. But not only that, our teachers, who some of them are burnt out, or some we're looking for a lot of teachers in the area. So tell us about that. What do you think that we're missing as parents, and what can we do as a parent?
Well, we'll talk about it twofold, because we can't put it all on parents, even though a lot of people want to. It's not all on parents. I used to tell my staff when I was the principal that we have them a lot longer than some of them see their parents. So what are you going to do when you have them? Now, I do say parents need to do their part, and we'll talk about that. But the one part of the REACH program that what I decided to do was ask my former teachers, why did I work? Like, what is it that made you want to come to work every day? Because when I was an administrator in this particular school, I had the least attendance issues with educators. I had the least attendance issues with students. I had the least discipline problems. So I asked them, what made me work? And they said the empathy and the love I have for people. I think that's one part we're missing in the schools. And I'll just be candid and tell you that. I work at the Hope Academy. Very proud to work at True County Schools, Hope Academy. And it's funny to hear the kids and their parents say, can I just keep my child at Hope? And I'm like, you do realize it's alternative school. But they come there and they feel the love and the structure. So that's another part that I think parents are missing. And in some of the schools too that are missing it. You as an administrator, you can't pick and choose who you discipline. And we see a lot of that. If we're very honest, certain people's last name will get treated a different way. I've seen it. We've all seen it. Now, one thing they respected about me, I have very good friends in high places where I was a principal, but I can remember a story, and I won't say their name on camera, but one of my favorite people's daughter came to school out of dress code. And she let her came, but she told her, she said, you know, Dr. Bell ain't gonna play that with you. Now, we eat dinner together. We're very close. But when her daughter walked in and her skirt was too short, I said, go call your mama. And as I told her to call her mama, I told her mama to bring me something from Terry's. But you gotta treat all kids not the same but equal, because let's just be honest, different kids need different things.
Right.
So us telling people that they all got to be treated the same, that's crazy, because it's you cannot. I had a student that didn't have lights on and didn't have a bed in their house and didn't have a window in one of their rooms. I can't treat him the same as I do a kid whose mother making lots of money. So we would have to make provisions for this one particular student. And I'll be honest with you, since I no longer work there, I had somebody report him for being out of district. And he was. because his grandfather, mom was away in prison, but the grandfather would put him at the bus stop. And I knew he was out of district, but the grandfather had to take care of the grandmother, so he could not let him go to the school that they were in district because they wouldn't be there. I just told him, put him in the car and bring him on to school. That was a situation where you can't treat kids the same. The grandfather was doing the best he could. Grandmother was in a wheelchair. He needed his grandson with Dr. Bell. So while the people were reporting a kid out of district, you don't really know their reason. I'm not promoting kids coming out of district, but let's just be real. Kids are out of district all the time. People choose to report who they want to report. And so I told the grandfather, just drive him. Don't worry about putting him back on the bus. And so even though he had to drive a few more miles, he wanted that kid there.
Wow.
And so that's what we're missing. We're missing people who genuinely, and I think we use this as a cliche. A lot of teachers there for a paycheck. Well, that ain't the case. Some of them are there because now we're getting anybody because we're so desperate. And so, I think I'll start teaching this week. Let's just see. I can be on a certificate for 3 years, and can y'all think about the 3 years of damage? Now we have them that are on provisional certificates that are doing a bang up job. They're doing wonderful. They're great, but the majority don't have. If you 60, and I saw one who was 60 years old, retired, and decided to go get a certificate to go in a high school classroom. Now that doesn't make sense to me because those kids are gonna eat you alive.
You want that kind of stress?
Oh my God! So
you're
I'm
asking for it.
And then you wonder why. And we don't have the folks on the 60-year-old. He ain't at my school because I probably would have mentioned it to my principal, and she's so awesome. I don't think she would have hired him, but I don't know. But what I'm saying is, get mad at me if you want to. What about us who put the time in, went to school, paid the price, took the classes, took the assessment we need? Now all of a sudden you're telling us that our educational degree is so not worth anything that you can just come on and get you a job. That's how we feel, whether they're saying it or not. We feel as though all that time we had to put in, all those teachers that had to go back and take that praxis over and over and over. I know one took it 5 times before she got her certification.
Wow.
Took the praxis.
Now
you can just sign a piece of paper and come on and be a teacher.
Wow.
And they're ruining kids.
Changed. Yes.
And people are just, they don't want to take on the responsibility. They want us to they just want to have someone in the room. And so that's why I be honest with you, I enjoy being where I am because we have a team of people at the Hope Academy that genuinely loves children. If you are at an alternative school, you are there, especially nowadays now, because they can go anywhere and get a job.
Right.
You are there because you want to be.
Right.
And we have good leadership. We're there because we love our kids. And you know, I'm mad. I know I can go get me a job.
Anywhere, right?
So that's the gist of it. The parents, though, let me just touch on that, because you know, as an administrator, I used to tell them to their face. I used to have a parent one time told me that the kids were they afraid of you. I said, what do you mean? We don't paddle. How are they afraid? They said, you just they just get in line when you walk in the room. Okay, so I'm trying to see the problem. And I told this one parent, I can't help it that they don't get in line when you walk in the room. But when I walk in a room as a leader, everything's supposed to get in line, or they need to replace me. And so, and I got replaced anyway, but it had nothing to do with me getting in line.
No, not at all.
I had to put that out there. But then that same parent had to come back to me before the year was over with and ask me to talk to her child.
Wow.
And so the parents, and I say this so often, I want to give my child what I didn't have. Well, let me just look at you and say, let's try to give them what we did have. Respect, work ethics, knowing how to make up a bed, wash the dishes, getting up on Saturday morning at 6 o'clock and cleaning up their room. Let's let them turn that TV off at 11 o'clock. Let them get some of the stuff that we did have. The respect for each other, the respect for life, because all this killing and shooting and all this stuff going on that we have. Now, the social media may have said that we were terrible because we raised our voice a little bit, and I work on that, but I'm just loud. But we didn't kill each other. We didn't take a gun and just walk in the store and just shoot somebody. We had respect for the authority. All police ain't bad. I don't want to live in a country where we don't have police. All police ain't good and all of them ain't bad. So stop putting them all in the same place like y'all put teachers. We ain't all sleeping with kids. So what we're missing is that you need to separate what you think your kids should be doing, and you need to raise them.
That's it.
Raising your child means they can't talk when I'm talking to April. I don't need Madison talking to me.
I don't need you in the room.
Correct.
We need to get back to that.
If you at my house jumping on my furniture and your mama don't tell you to stop, guess who's gonna tell you to stop?
Oh, I don't know. I'd be scared.
No,
I hope Dr. Bell don't.
I'm gonna tell you, if you at my house and you jumping on my furniture and your mama don't tell you to sit your little Johnny Brown down, Dr. Bell says, sit your little Johnny Brown down.
It'll be over.
So, but we can go on for that for all that. But I love it. Raise them. We can't raise them at the Hope Academy. We can't raise them in these schools. Raise your
just want to educate them.
Come out the streets.
Right.
Get off Facebook. Raise your children.
You just want to educate them. Now, Dr. Bell, today we've talked to you as Dr. Bell, the wife. Dr. Bell, the educator, and we sure got some education about that. Not only that, how you give back, your philanthropy. We talked about that as well. Season 4 is on its way. It's going to be dropping very soon, you guys. You're going to see it at the bottom of this screen. What date this season 4 is going to start, and we're excited about it. And all of that makes up you. It makes up you and how you're able to get through the show, do your interviews, talk to these people, choosing to win. So you've done that because you've been able to go through adversity and win. So now you're talking to people who are going through the same thing, right?
Yes, they're going to see a commercial for a book, 31 Days of Dealing with Adversity, the David mentality, learning how to be quiet when you're going through your season of adversity. I'm telling you, I'm learning, and God is so good to me. I have no complaints, and I still love y'all parents. Now, don't get mad, I'm gonna tell you the truth. But I have no complaints. The things that I have gone through have made me better, not bitter. I decided you can be one, but you can't be the other. You can't be both.
Can't be both.
And I know without a shadow of a doubt that pain is inevitable. Winning is optional.
Oh.
But if you you gonna choose to win.
Coming up this fall, you guys look out for it right here on BTV Network.
And this is April Ross coming live from the Beehive, baby. Thank y'all so much for watching. In this season of your life, you have to possess courage past the trauma, past who don't like you, past who who accept you, past who don't think you're good enough, past who don't speak to you, past who just do all kind of. You got to go past the trauma to possess the courage. You are allowing one situation to dictate your life. One thing. I hate you got molested. I hate you got touched. I hate that for you. But you still alive. You still here. And it's gonna take courage to come through it. No matter what you're going through, to be a champion, you gotta choose to be a champion. We have allowed life to stop us from being great. You have to make the decision to be a champion. You gotta have courage, hurt, attitude, motivation, perseverance, integrity, optimism, and never give up.
At some point in life, we are faced adversity. But adversity isn't to pull us down. It's to make us strong for the next level. Overcoming adversity. The David mentality. The secret to handle adversity. A 31-day devotional of divine wisdom for securing daily victories.